Today, I'm going to explain to you how WikiRate is working to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and how our approach is creating opportunities for companies and individuals to do their parts. First, let's talk about companies and the SDGs. To understand companies' role, we need to know what they're doing. Companies are good at telling stories. We see this in sustainability reports, which are great at highlighting the things that they've done really well, and even some of the challenges that they face. But how do we know that these stories are showing the company's most important impacts? If we want to know, for example, how workers in H&M supply chain are doing compared to Puma's, we need a lot more than a story. We need standardized and comparable data. You might say there are lots of standard metrics out there for companies to use. And you're right. There are organizations like the Global Reporting Initiative who have developed standards for companies to use in their non-financial reporting. And there are civil society developed metrics like the Walk Free Initiative's Modern Slavery Act research. All of these, which help companies to identify and improve their social and environmental impacts. So we have some standard metrics that can be used to identify company impacts, but companies aren't using them in a standard way. We don't see comparability. Companies can pick and choose which metrics they report to. You can see this in the gap assessment here, where this small group of companies shows a large variation in reporting to the key metrics for SDG 5, gender equality. If we drill down further, gender equality metrics are looking for things like female worker pay compared to male pay. What percentage of women are in management positions? How much training is given to female versus male employees? And what percentage of the workforce is female? Answers to questions like these help build up a story based on evidence. But when we see 25% or even 60% average disclosure from companies, we know we're missing important opportunities to understand both the company level and the bigger picture. Without these, it's not possible to know where pressure should be exerted to make improvements. Another issue that we see is the way that companies report makes it difficult to find key information. Sometimes information is reported in clear and structured tables, but more often, it's embedded in long pages of text. Keyword searches help, but you need to parse the context around the keywords in order to interpret the meaning. So most of the research can't be automated. It has to be done by individuals like you and me. So what we learned here is that there's a quick win for companies to contribute to the SDGs through developing clear, consistent, and accessible sustainability reporting. Until they do, WikiRate is providing a roadmap for what that looks like. Yes, companies are under a lot of pressure to do good, but at the same time, it's not enough. We need to create an enabling environment to make sure they do good. WikiRate has created a practical research tool and data platform that allows us to gather structured information on companies and compare important social and environmental impacts, while at the same time pointing out where the gaps are and encouraging companies to fill those gaps. The WikiRate platform has been designed as an open data platform so that all information on WikiRate can be accessed, developed, and used by the community. So why is open data so fundamental? In the current landscape, most company sustainability data is locked behind paywalls, difficult to pull out of PDFs, as mentioned earlier, or it's exchanged between particular groups of stakeholders, from companies to investors, for example. This means that select groups have access to different data sets entirely, and each group has just one piece of a bigger puzzle. The conversations then that we're having with each other about improving sustainability and achieving the SDGs are also different. They're based on which pools of knowledge we have available to us. So open data allows us to shine a light. It creates access to sustainability information on companies, and it levels the playing field with a shared evidence base that can be used to scale sustainability improvements and help us to have conversations based on the same information. We can see an example of this through the SDG Compass. This is a tool that was developed specifically for companies and their stakeholders to better understand which standard metrics are relevant to them in achieving the SDGs. So we have represented this on WikiRate so that anyone can conduct an analysis of company reporting to the SDGs. They can select metrics from the SDG Compass framework and make comparisons across industry, geographies, and so on. As data is added for the purpose of these analyses, it becomes available for different types of assessments as well, whether they're framed within the SDGs or not. So each individual researcher contributes to building up the open database for everyone to use. Since 2016, WikiRate has been working with professors around the world to engage their students in online learning through research on corporate sustainability as it links to the Sustainable Development Goals. Students conduct research on issues from modern slavery to environmental pollution, working with company reports to make sense of the data. Once the data is extracted from reports and added to the WikiRate platform, it's easy to do a gap analysis like the SDG 5 disclosure that we saw earlier, or this comparison of the highest greenhouse gas emitting companies, where you can clearly see which companies haven't reported the data for 2017. Some students even use these assessments to reach out to companies to ask for more information. While there are many companies that want to do a better job of communicating with their stakeholders, they often don't realize that there's a real interest in the data. These interactions give students a chance to articulate their needs as SDGs researchers and give companies a chance to take a step back and think about how they're reporting information. This type of research is not only beneficial for the general public and for companies, but it is also helping to improve policy. This recent report on modern slavery in the hotel sector uses data researched by students as part of their classroom assignments. Connecting to real-world issues like this through research can bring new light to what it means to improve companies and to achieve SDGs. As we know, much of this is being done through remote classrooms now. Teachers and students around the world have shown resilience and creativity in adapting to and shaping the way forward. Can you imagine a world in which sustainable business is the default? Individuals like you are creating it as we speak, and you can join that ride too. Let's get to work. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's TED Talk. It's been a real pleasure to present today at the UN World Data Forum. I want to say a couple words that our team from WikiRate and myself will be joining the Attendify app in the chat today. So if you have any questions, we're really happy to answer those. And if it's possible, we'll also join live via the video. So one of the main takeaways from today's talk was that individuals have a lot of power to contribute to data for the SDGs. And I want to drive that home and say, I know that there's a lot going on in people's lives right now, and we've all had to make changes that are not necessarily desirable. But we're really pleased to be able to provide a tool that's available at least to professors and teachers and educators, as well as individuals who want to give something back, who are thinking about the future that they want for their lives and their community, and want to take some of that power and do something for the SDGs. So we're very happy to speak with you about ways that you can do that on WikiRate, but the tool is really available for anyone that has access to a computer. So we look forward to hearing your questions and thoughts today, and have a fantastic conference. Speak soon.